Hey all, welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. I am Darren, of course, and today I've got a great guest. Her name is Gubba. She is a content creator, author, homesteader, and we're going to talk a little bit about everything that Gubba does. I'll be right back with Gubba.
Smoking, grilling, getting hot and hotter, sous vide and chilling from fire and water.
Hey all, it's Darren, and I want to take a second to talk to you about the high-powered torches from Grill Blazer, the grill gun, and sous vide gun. I was lucky enough to be a part of this project long before it was a Kickstarter, and I love them. If you're looking for something to sear your food within seconds, check out the sous vide gun. If you're looking for a torch to light your grill and have it up and cooking within 5 minutes, your lump or briquettes, check out the grill gun. It can also light outdoor fire pits and your fireplace within minutes. Check it out, guys, at the link below and get 10% off your order. Check out the grill gun and the sous vide gun by Grill Blazer. Welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. I am Darren, I am your host, and I have a really special guest here today, and probably somebody you guys wouldn't think I would have on here because it's kind of a little bit outside of what I normally have, because I usually talk about barbecue or cooking or sous vide or anything like that. But I have somebody on here that's a streamer, an author. She's been doing some homestead, freeze drying, prepping, and a little bit of everything. And her name is Gubba, and that's what she goes by, Gubba, G-U-B-B-A. And I want to introduce you to her. And Gubba, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do.
Well, hi, my name is Gubba. I am a streamer on Twitch TV. I stream video games, but more than that, I have like a show that I have created over the past 7 years. I do YouTube, Instagram, and this past year I had the opportunity to move out to some land. So I've been doing some homesteading content. I've also authored a book, a comic book, so kind of a person of all trades.
Yeah, and that's what kind of drew me to you. And I was telling you earlier, I stumbled on you because I purchased a freeze dryer not too long ago. And first thing I do when I do something like that is I go to YouTube and look up, videos on who's doing what and what to look for. And then I stumbled on you, and I kind of was intrigued. I said, well, what's this young girl doing? She's doing these prepper type videos. And then I kind of started doing a little bit of research on you, and I found out you were a streamer, and that's how you kind of started out. And then you kind of branched off and you do some music and you do some books. And so you're like somebody that's just kind of like me, that kind of like dips their fingers and hands into a lot of different things, and you just kind of enjoy yourself of doing it. So what got you started into streaming right off the bat? Because nowadays, I want to get into this a little bit later, but these type of jobs or income, producing activities were just not around a few years back. So when I was growing up, when I was your age, we couldn't really do this. So I'm a little bit older than you, but so what got you started into thinking that you were going to do this full time?
So 7 years ago, I discovered Twitch in the beginning of 2015, and I had always been into gaming. Like I've really related to that realm growing up, going through school, but it was kind of like a shunned environment. Like you weren't cool if you played games. And then I saw this world of all these gamers like streaming and people watching them, and I thought it was so cool. So then I streamed for the first time in May 2015, and then got partnered, which is a huge thing on Twitch, where you get a badge by your name and people can have emotes from your channel like 3 months later. And I quit my job 2 months into it, and I haven't looked back since.
So I'm not very familiar with Twitch because I'm not a video gamer. My son is. My other son, actually, my older son, actually works for Epic. So he does some of the motion capture stuff. He just went to work with them about 2 years ago, but he lives up there and around Raleigh. Yep. Because that's where they're based. But yeah, so he's been there about 2 years and he loves it. So what is Twitch? Because Twitch is kind of it's a social media platform, kind of like, I would say, like a Facebook or Instagram, but it's a little bit different. So explain to me what that is, or what everybody would kind of understand what it is.
So Twitch TV is a streaming platform where you can interact with somebody live. So you go there and there's people playing video games, and that's really what it was in 2015 was video games. But now it's branched into more. You'll find people cooking, and you'll find people outside barbecuing or swimming in the pool. And you can go and interact with people live. So that's what gives live streaming such an edge, is that you get this real-time interaction with somebody, whereas social media, they posted it, you can leave a comment, but there's not that interaction that Twitch or YouTube streaming or Facebook live or streaming gives you.
So Twitch is more like a 100% Facebook live or
Yes.
YouTube streaming live. Okay.
Yes.
So
Original.
now how do you monetize something like that? Because with YouTube, it takes you a while usually to get monetized, and Facebook, it's pretty much impossible unless you come with a whole bunch of people already and following. It's really hard to get monetized on Facebook. So how easy was it for you to get monetized on Twitch?
It's not easy. I've always had an amazing community that has come and hung out with me, and we've built this environment in our community that has been so like wholesome. Like I really look at these people as like my friends, my family. And you're right, it is difficult. It's completely difficult to make it in a realm like Twitch or social media or YouTube, as you're saying. And I got partnered on Twitch a few months after I started streaming, and that allowed people to subscribe to my channel. You can subscribe on YouTube where it's free, but you subscribe on Twitch for $4.99 a month, and you get emotes on this person's channel. So they're like these little pictures that you can put in chat that are exclusive. You can get support through people directly tipping to you, like they love your content, they want to support you more. And then later on down the road, as you build a brand, you can also get sponsorships. So those are some of the ways that you can monetize, but it is really cutthroat.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things I noticed about you. You're kind of like a little different than most girls your age or women your age, where you're not doing makeup videos, you're not doing crazy I'm eating hot Cheetos type of challenges, or see what I'm gonna jump off this thing and see if I break my just kind of the stuff that you see, like the jackass type videos that people tend to try to do to try just to get the views, just to get views and just to get people to follow them. So what made you decide that this is how you were going to be? You weren't going to be vulgar. You weren't going to be overly sexual. You were just going to kind of just be who you are.
Exactly that. Like this is who I am. It's not me to go out and share my body, and I completely, if people want to, like that's for them, but it's not me. And so it's so important to me to stay true to myself and my values and carry that into streaming. And I have done like a hot jelly bean challenge, but that's like fun with my community, right? But when I think of that, sex sells, right? We know that in social media. And that's just not something that I've found interesting for myself. And I know that I could monetize that if I ever went that route, but I never will, because that's not who I am.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good thing. It's very, like I said, it's very odd to see somebody like you doing that and being successful, because usually they get ridiculed or made fun of, and this is what we want. And I think I've watched some of your streams just doing some research where you've had people tell you some of the nasty things people have asked for. And I can imagine it's pretty it's pretty bad, even for just me being an old fat white guy. Some of the comments on my YouTube videos, but I can imagine, being a young girl, some of the stuff that you get that you just go, I can't believe these people live out there.
Yeah, no, I actually had that today in a more minor sense on one of my Homestead videos. I posted it today. It was a kitchen tour, and I'm like showing around my kitchen what I have.
I watched it.
Yeah, and somebody commented and they were like, "You are a disgrace to Jesus Christ. Like you're gonna be in a surprise for Judgment Day." And I was like, "What the heck? Like what is going on here?" So I look, and this person was so pressed that I say, "Oh my gosh," they were so pressed, and I was just like, "What is this? Is like a Homestead channel. This is like the nicest content you can get." And there's still people on Homestead who are getting upset in my content. Usually like
for the other extreme.
The other extreme, I couldn't believe it. Usually like the gaming trolls are much more vicious. This was like, wait, this is so far out of left field. I just had to laugh.
Yeah. So I guess you can't win for losing, right? You know,
Oh yeah, you definitely can't.
no matter who you try, you can't please everybody. And that's one of the things when I first got into this, I didn't go into it to please everybody. I went into it, fight for myself and to help people, and if people, want help, which I have, I got people all the time that say, thank you. And you helped me out. And I'm sure you do too. Hey, I've learned something from you. And then every once in a while you get some idiot that's just like, well, you did that totally wrong. You don't know what you're doing. And it's like, dude, I've been working with food for over 30 years. So I know what I'm doing, but you're always going to get those type of people, no matter what you do. You're not going to please everybody. There's people out there that are just going to troll you because that's how they spend their day, just commenting on YouTube videos or going on Facebook and trying to, ridicule somebody because it makes them feel better.
No, that is so true. And I've realized that over 7 years of live streaming almost every day, that people, aren't going to like you no matter what you do. So you just like brush it. You just brush it off.
Yeah. Well, you're going to attract the people that are going to follow you and that are like you. And the ones that pop in and say nasty stuff, they're not going to be there anyway. So I got to a point where, I have friends of mine that are big YouTubers and are like, no, I always leave all the comments on there, just so it's like, I don't want to, because I don't want people coming on there and letting me, seeing that I'm taking this stuff, because these people are there just to do that. Yeah. They're just there to post a nasty comment so everybody will see it. So I'm not going to let them have the privilege of going to my people and going, hey, look at this, I just go ahead and I delete them anymore. So I don't care about the algorithm, so people, I think, get hung up, especially on YouTube, about, what my thumbnail has to look like and what my keywords are and what the, this and all that, and, what's the trend everybody doing, especially on the cooking and barbecue side. If somebody starts doing cooking this one thing, everybody starts doing it, so, and it's like, I don't want to be that guy that's, well, you saw 400 other videos of somebody making this, so I'm going to do 401, maybe I'll do it, a year and a half down the road when it's done. But so, and that's the kind of stuff I like from you, because there's nobody else out there doing some of the stuff that you're doing. So
yeah, and I like how you said there's like trends in the barbecue world, and I'm so disconnected from that. That's like not my realm. So to picture that there's trends going on, just like there is in gaming or homesteading.
Yeah, there's trends in everything, where all of a sudden people will jump on that, horse and ride it till it's dead. And it's like, and I see friends of mine doing the same thing. And it's like, really, can't you come up with something original of your own, be original, and if you think it's cool and you want to do it, maybe put your own twist on it, but don't make the same exact thing that the other guy did, 2 days ago, and try to, take credit for it yourself or whatever. But I don't know, that's just me. So talking about, I want to get into the age of influencers, because like I kind of hinted on before, 10 years ago, you really couldn't do this kind of thing and make money from it. And it seems to be more and more that everybody wants to. Not everybody should. There's a lot of people that jump on and think they're going to be, famous right away. But then there's somebody like you who, literally attracts people no matter what you do, whether you're doing your homesteading, whether you're doing your, gaming stuff. You're attracting different people, but they have similar values or similar mindset, but they might be looking at a different, thing. Like with homesteading, I'm sure you probably have some of your gamer guys come over, but not a lot of them. But in your, like me, I like your homesteading stuff, but I could really care about watching you play Fortnite.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I get that. And I actually have had some people come from Homestead to be a part of the stream. And for me to see it go like full circle has been really neat. But I understand that they are two completely different niches. And so I try to keep them separate. Like on my stream, I'm not sitting talking about a ton of homestead stuff or prepping or DIY. A little bit if somebody asks me like how my cow is doing. And then same with homestead. I'm not on there giving any Fortnite tricks as I'm doing a tour of my homestead kitchen.
Right. So talking about that, so what would you be doing if you weren't an influencer? What do you have? Did you go to school for something? I mean, did you have plans when you were in high school that you were going to be a ballet dancer or something like that? Or
Yeah, so I was going to be a pharmacist. I actually went to pharmacy school for a year while I streamed. And then I was going to go off to law school because I wasn't happy with pharmacy, wasn't happy with what I was doing. I always wanted to do something in the medical field. But then I got to it and I was just like, ugh. So then I was like, okay, I'm doing streaming. I had already quit my job and did stream full time, and then took a year to stream, and then kind of went back to school because everyone says you need to have a fallback. But I sat and thought one day, and I was like, if I constantly have a fallback, then I'm never giving streaming my full attention. So that's when I said, okay, I'm done with school. I didn't even like it anyways. And I just went full into streaming 2017, 2018 with no distractions of school. And I seriously have never looked back.
now, what did your parents think of that?
Oh, my parents, they were so supportive when I started
Yeah.
streaming. They thought it was so cool. They're always supportive of everything that I do. And my dad is such a creative person. He's always the one who's encouraged me to write when I was younger, cartoons, and really just focus on that creative aspect of myself. So when I started streaming and doing like an entrepreneurial thing, they were all for it, which
Yeah.
I feel like isn't common. I've had people in my family react like, oh, you just play video games, especially at the beginning. But now I look at it and it was the best experience. It still is. And I would totally encourage my kids, if I ever have kids down the line, to do something that they have a passion for instead of just feel like they have to go to school.
Well, and just watching some of your stuff, you've created little characters. You're more of an entertainer. You're not
Yeah.
just somebody just sitting there watching you play a video game, which my son used to watch that, on YouTube and stuff. And I'm like, why are you watching somebody play a video game? I don't understand it. And it's like, well, it's not just that, it's like, what are you trying to get their cheat codes or what, trying to get to the next level? But he's like, no, they're entertaining. And like you have your little characters and people that are following along. They may be even playing the game at the same time as you, and you all, they're able to chat with you and talk about the same parts of the game or what have you. So you got a lot of stuff in common, but you also have that entertainment part where you're doing these little characters or what have you as well. So it's more like you said, your creative part. It's not just sitting there playing video games, that's for sure.
No, because anybody could just sit there and play video games. And honestly, it's kind of, I can sit and play video games. I enjoy video games, but man, sitting and playing Fortnite all day or whatever game all day, I don't get such a kick out of it. I get a kick out of like bringing on my librarian character, Gub Librarian, bringing her on and throwing people in jail or going and dancing and doing little parties on my stream. That's what I get the entertainment out of. And for watching games, it is kind of a hard thing to grasp of like, why would people watch video games? But I compare it to why people watch sports, right? Like it's entertaining to watch people go play football. I don't find that super entertaining, but a lot of people enjoy watching people play video games, including myself.
So if you weren't able to be a creator or do this, what do you think? Would you think you would have finally went and finished up with your law degree or anything like that, or no?
If I hadn't really tapped into my entrepreneurial side, I probably would have stuck with school. But now that I'm 7 years into this, if I couldn't stream for whatever reason or post homestead content, I would figure out some other business that I could go do either locally or on the internet that I could just never go back to school or do something like that because it's just not me.
Yeah, it's once you get the entrepreneurial bug, it's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard to, and I've done it all my life. I've worked in banking all my life. I worked in restaurants before that, and it's really easy to put it on the back burner because fortunately you don't have a family that you have to raise. You don't have kids or all that, so you just have your chickens and dogs and cows right now. But when you're starting out and you have a family and all that, you really, unless you have money in the bank or somebody behind you that's helping you out, it's hard to be an entrepreneur. I don't think I ever lost it. That's why I kind of started doing this on the side. and I'm setting it up to where, when I can retire and not have to do a 9 to 5 job, I can do this and not have to go stand at Walmart and be a greeter or something. I can have this to where it's replacing my main income. But I think once you get that entrepreneurial spirit, you don't want it to go away. You want to work for yourself. You want to build things. You want to create, your own income and not have somebody holding something over your head all the time.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that too is like finding your passion, right? Like you said, you've been interested in this. And then I think it's so smart that you're setting it up for after you retire so you can have something that you're passionate in, and hopefully it's been building
Oh
as
yeah.
retirement. Yeah.
Yeah, it does build. It's built, I've been doing it now almost 5 years now. And, I've done a little bit like you. I wrote a book, a cookbook, put it up on Amazon. I've done a YouTube channel. I've got the podcast. I've got like 5 or 6 Facebook groups. So they're for different, topics and all that. I got starting to sell some stuff on the website. I'm creating my own rubs and seasoning blends now. So, it gives me the ability, my main job gives me the ability to get my fingers into this. And then I'm generating enough income with that to pay for some of that other stuff. So I don't have to take the money out that I'm making from my regular job and stick it into this stuff. It's just slowly self-sufficient, or it's actually making more than what I'm spending. So
Yeah, and I think like with the entrepreneurial spirit, it isn't something that a lot of people think you can just jump in and start making a ton of money and everything's going to be success. But I experienced that, especially my first year of streaming. Like, man, it was completely cutthroat. There were some days where I didn't sleep. I was going all day. I was streaming like 8 to 10 hours a day, like taking one day off, go, 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 go. Like, you really, really have to work for it to find success. But I feel like nowadays I've seen this movement of like, well, people need to not spend so much time in doing that because they're going to hurt themselves. And I see that, but there's also like a sacrifice when you want to have success.
mhm. Yeah, and I see it too. When I started out, you think you have to put out a video every couple of days, but
Mhm.
then again, then you figure out people are getting sick of me.
Yeah.
They don't want to see me every other day. They'll come back, once a week or every, it's like with the podcast, I was doing them like every week. Not only did it burn me out because I'm working a full-time job, I'm doing the YouTube videos and trying to follow my Facebook, groups, but people just get sick of hearing you and they just stop listening for a while, and then they'll come back every once in a while. So why bang your head against the wall? I've seen people on YouTube, they'll try to put a video out every couple days thinking it's going to gain them,
Yeah.
but people, they burn out, and the people who tried to subscribe to them get burned out. They're like, just they stop watching them, because you
Yeah.
run out of content. You're doing the same thing over and over again. You're not putting your time and energy into the content you're doing. You're just doing it to chug out videos, and that can burn you out as well. So let's talk about a little bit like that. Let's talk about pivoting into different things, because you've done that and I've kind of done that. We already talked a little bit about. So you started out streaming the video games. Then what drove you to write your books?
I have always enjoyed writing. So I wrote when I was little. My dad did a lot of writing. And I just thought it would be so fun to have another way to connect with my audience, to tell some of my story and talk about stream. And it was such a hit. Everybody loved reading about the different elements of stream. And I was able to have like an event on stream where I had like a library and a book signing, and people were spinning my wheels. So it was more of a way to connect with my audience and another creative outlet for writing my book.
I'm going to go ahead and share your
Oh.
website so people can see your website there. So this is your main website, gubbatv.com. And so you got everything up on here at the top. So everything Gubba. So streaming is your first one, because that's what got you going, and then books. So you actually you didn't just write your own book about, your memoir, but you also have a graphic novel series. How did you get started writing that?
Well, another creative outlet was cartooning, and I have my character, Frankie Ravens, their Gub librarian, and I just had this vision of creating a graphic novel of her because she has such a cool story, and so I just went ahead and did it.
And how has that gone? I mean, is that something you just self-published? Do you have a publisher, or is that something that's a continuation, or what
Yeah.
is it?
So it is a continuation. I'm self-published and I publish the books, and then it's another way to interact with my audience. And we have this big event on stream. And I look at these outlets as literally ways to interact with my audience, not just like blindly putting out a product. So I have my audience in mind every time I'm putting something out. So these comic books are a story for people to become more entwined with stream and Gub Librarian's story on my stream, and then have a really good time when we do a comic launch.
So now you're doing your second memoir already, and you can't be that old enough to have two memoirs. You're not even 30 yet, so you can't even have that many memoirs.
Yeah.
What are you going to do when you're 60? You're going to have like 12 memoirs.
Oh, I will. Got some interesting stories to share, you know.
Well, I guess every time you change, and I kind of was kind of getting into this in the outline I sent you, is that are you going to have more, because this is more of like about your Twitch, I guess, your second memoir. Are you going to have a separate one about, getting into homesteading and all that? Are these things you're doing, you just, because you're like me, when I did my cookbook, it all just kind of flowed out of me because I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years and I was really into it. So it really wasn't that hard for me to write the book. So is that how you kind of approach it?
Yeah, that's how I approach it. And for homesteading right now at the moment, I'm unsure if I will do a book regarding that, but I don't rule anything out because I never know what idea will come to me late at night or whenever. And right now, streaming is, I have these two main things. I have streaming, homesteading. So I will continue on both sides. And I'm not really going to rule anything out for like what I'm going to do for either.
Well, that's good to know but you're still open and you're still, creating. So in both categories. So also you do music. So, so what got you into the music? I guess that's kind of part of the streaming and the video gaming.
Mhm.
You kind of make your own bumpers while you're playing and all that.
Yeah, so there's multiple things that went into the music part. Is I had a character on my stream called Gubba Swift, and people would tip and then I would sing songs. Another amazing way that I engaged with my audience. We had so much fun. And then I had an amazing producer, still do, and I was like, man, I want to write some songs. So then we started writing some songs, and then I made some video game songs. So The Kid is Dog and Press Play, they're related to Fortnite. So those were really such a hit within that audience. And then the songs that Social Girl, we got Social Machine, and there's other songs in there called Immunity. Those go with my comic book. So I have a song that goes with each comic book that sings about the story. So kind of a way to interact and intertwine all of my content.
Very, very interesting. Then let's get into the recipes. So I guess this is part of your homesteading. Now, did you start doing recipes before you started the homesteading, or because
Yes.
I understand you actually were one of the first ones that start doing cooking videos or streams on Twitch, right?
Yes. So I started doing recipes, like posting them on the Gubba TV website last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago. I'm trying to remember. But then, gaming and recipes, those don't really go well. And then I moved out to my homestead. So then it was easy for me to separate the niches. So yes, all my recipes, gardening, everything homesteading is with Gubba Homestead.
Now I think I read somewhere that you did some cooking streams. So,
Yes.
and you said that was really what kind of propelled you or got you really popular on Twitch.
Yeah. So 2016, when Twitch was like strictly gaming, if I wasn't in a game, I had so many haters saying, I'm just a girl, I'm not even gaming. And then cooking kind of became a thing. And so I started cooking, and I was one of the first people to start cooking on stream. And yeah, that helped propel me because it was something that nobody else was doing at the time. And it was really, really cool experience.
How did you get started in cooking? Was it something that your mom kind of got you into, or you had just always been, interested in eating? And
Definitely interested in eating, but it was more my dad growing up. He was the one cooking the meals. He would have me come and cook with him.
I like him already because that's the way I am. I cook all the
Yeah.
meals for our family. So
Yeah, he was, and I still love going there. My mom makes the Thanksgiving dinner, so that's her thing, Thanksgiving and Christmas. But the rest of the time, my dad's cooking, and so that's what inspired me for learning how to cook.
Well, that's great. All right, so now let's go. Well, we're back into Gubba Homestead. So, what made you go into the homestead or to prepping? Give us an idea of what happened that made you say, "All right, I'm going to buy a farmhouse and try to be self-sufficient with everything."
Well, 2020 with the pandemic, and a little bit before that, I started building up a food storage a little bit. But then when 2020 hit and all the weirdness, and you had the grocery stores that were filled with people and the shelves were barren, that's when I was like, all right, I can't live
The
like
toilet
this.
paper
The
shortages,
toilet
yeah.
paper. Yeah, the toilet paper. And so that was when I was like, I want to be self-sufficient. My ancestors did it. They had gardens, they had all this knowledge. I want to do this. I never want to go to the grocery store again and be watching people fight over toilet paper or whatever is on the shelf. Like, I just don't want to be a part of that. I want to take myself out of that and learn how to do that.
Well, that's like I said, my wife went through the same thing. I mean, we still probably have, 5 big packs of Costco
Yep.
toilet paper and paper towels in our closet, because she'll still go every time she goes to Costco, whether we need it or not. She gets a whole big thing of toilet paper and paper towels.
Me
So, but
too.
I've got, that's kind of what stopped, that's why she wasn't complaining when I bought the freeze dryer. So, but we've got our own stockpile going, not quite as extensive as you though. I mean, that's one of the things I show my wife your videos and she's like, she's just one person. Like she could feed her whole neighborhood for probably months because of the stuff you have in your food stores. So
Yeah, I could. Honestly, that's part of why I have such an extensive prep family, right? But also my neighbors. I love who I live around, but it's cool because all my neighbors are actually preppers and they're like prep to the nines. But yeah, food storage is extremely important. I just never want to be at the waves and the mercy of what's going on in the world to be able to eat.
mhm. And I've noticed that I guess the farm you bought was kind of like in somewhat of a disrepair when you got it, so you had to do some work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still in disrepair, but I have to remind myself that I'm coming up on my first year being here. I've done a lot to get it together. There was so much garbage and just stuff everywhere when I moved out here. Like it needed a full clean out. And I had just mounds of stuff that I had been cleaning out for months. It took 5 dump trucks to get like all the stuff off. There's still a lot of stuff that needs to be prepared or repaired, but I didn't expect to ever to be able to get a piece of property that didn't need some work because I mean the housing market is insane. So I was not expecting a pristine piece of property, and it's nice because then I can build it in what I want it to be.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and like you said, it also gives you content.
Yeah, it gives me
Because
so much content.
yeah, I mean, just watching you fix stuff and build your chicken coop and, especially for the first time when you're out there doing it, even though I know you've studied up on a lot of the stuff, but, watching a video or reading a book about it, it's not the same as actually doing a lot of that stuff. So, watching you milk the cow for the first time or, chasing your chickens around and trying to figure out how they interact and all that. It's, just kind of fascinating. So
Yeah, it has truly been like a huge learning curve. And irrigation was a learning curve, and just seeing the land throughout the whole year was a huge learning curve. And I've learned to journal things each day and take lots of pictures so then I can look back and reference. So it's just been one giant learning curve.
So when you started your prepping and all that, did you do just jump yourself right into it? Or did you start slowly, or how did you start with that?
I started usually how most people I would say start by stocking up on the essentials of like canned beans or bags of rice. And definitely the cans, that's where my prepping really started. And then getting things like matches and flashlights. So it's been a slow build. And then eventually, once I kind of had my pantry filled, then I started looking at long term food storage which I do with like number 10 cans and Mylar bags and that sort of thing.
Freeze drying and all the
Yep, freeze
canning and
drying, canning. Yes, love both of those. And those were also a learning curve, but now that I got them and have been doing them, easy.
yeah, and it's always good because not everybody, we're not born knowing this stuff. And once we learn it and then we get proficient at it, we can show somebody else how to do it. Because next
Yeah.
time, somebody's going to be looking up your YouTube video on how to do food prep or freeze drying, or like I said, like I stumbled on how when you got your freeze dryer, it's like, wow, great. So that's one of the first things I do. I go to YouTube, even if it's not the best quality video,
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
me too.
because there's a lot of people out there that they just want to post up the information so people have it,
Mhm.
and it's just pretty much anything you want to learn, you can find it on YouTube. The
It's
most
so
obscure
nice.
stuff, I'll just go there and it'll pop up. Somebody, oh, somebody had this particular problem with this particular, product,
Yeah.
and they had the same exact problem I have, and they figured out how to do it, and they posted a quick little YouTube video on it. So that's one of the things that I really like about some of the stuff that we do. So we kind of talked about your books and already. So what's next for you? Are you going to just keep the streaming going and then keep building the homestead? I mean, because right now I think we've been doing the homesteading for what, a year, you said?
Mhm.
So it's right at almost 8,000 subscribers, and I know it's probably, since I've been doing this, I just hit 10,000 subscribers. It doesn't really grow really fast right away. It kind of slowly, so then it starts to snowball. So the more you get, usually once you hit over 10,000, it'll start to kind of grow a little bit more and a little bit more. YouTube will start showing your videos more and getting you out there. So do you plan on just continuing to keep the homestead going and then keeping the streaming going and maybe doing some other stuff as well, or?
Yes, so I'm definitely going to keep the homestead going because it's where I live and it's just so nice to
Easy.
have content. Yes, that's the word I was
easy,
looking
easy,
for.
easy content, because
Yes.
it's stuff you're learning and people are watching it. So
Yeah, I'm learning. I can just go out there, film a video with my chickens, upload to TikTok, but also streaming. I have great internet, and then I want to continue to evolve my content there, come out with products. So that is always continuously evolving, like it has been over the past 7 years. Like that's my bread and butter. And the homestead is like a hobby. It's just an extra side of my life that these people that I have created a community with get to involve themselves with. And then it also helps build my community.
do you ever see that where they both become too big that you have to kind of choose or pick or choose from one of them, or?
No, I'm pretty good at managing my time between the two because I know when I have to go get farm stuff done and when I can go and film that. And I know when I have to do my stream stuff. So it's pretty night and day for me. It's good.
What about when little gubbas come?
Oh, I don't know about that. That may be a ways off just because, I really love my free time.
Yeah.
And I just have so much stuff I want to do. And yes, I can do it with kids, but I haven't really felt that pull yet.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Well, you're fun with just Gubba being Gubba, huh?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I've thought about that, like if I did have kids down the line, because I wouldn't want them on social media at all. So that would be something that I would have to dance around. And
Right.
I don't know if I'm just there at that point yet.
Well, maybe you have enough money put aside where you don't have to worry about working anymore, right?
But the thing is, I would be so sad if I couldn't stream anymore. Like I genuinely have like part of me that is part of my community online. I don't know how to explain it. That I would be sad if I couldn't like come on and interact with
Well, it's like your
people or
family. Yeah. So
yeah, exactly. So there's no way I couldn't just like not work. I'd be sad.
well, great. What else you got going on that you want to talk about that we haven't touched on yet? What
You
haven't I
know,
asked you that you normally get asked or that you want to talk about?
well, actually, I have a question for you. Was my freeze dryer good? My freeze dryer video good that you watched?
Yeah, it was good enough to make me, dig more into you, because I think, yeah, I got the information I was looking for, but then, like I said, your personality and just seeing this young girl doing this, prepping and homesteading, just kind of like, so I gotta find out more. And I think that's what a lot of people do when they find you. They go, who is this girl? And
Yeah.
and you're nice. You're not, like I said, you're not like the normal stuff. You're not, showing off your, cleavage or tattoos or,
Yeah.
trying to do stupid stuff. You're actually, it's watching you learn stuff and discover stuff. And I think that's pretty interesting, you know.
Yeah, and so you'd be like the type of audience that would come and watch, like we talked about earlier, because there's also a type of audience for the tattoos and the cleavage, right? So
Right. I want to see what Gubba's doing today.
Yeah.
What's going on with her cow? Like, you post up the chicken problem. Like, what kind of problems is she having with her chickens?
Oh yeah, the drama.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I mean, and I, I'm sure there's all kinds of content out there that people like, and like I said, I don't particularly care for the getting on the bandwagon and stuff. So but there's a lot of people that do. They want to watch every beer can chicken video that's out there.
Yeah.
If there's 400 of them posted in a week, because that's what's the the thing of the week. There's people that'll watch every single one of them. But so there's all kinds of content for everybody, and I think you diversifying into different things, and all of them are entertaining. So you're entertaining your gamer people over there. You're picking up a new and different kind of fan over at the Homestead thing. I think there's room for all of it. So definitely, I think you're doing pretty well for somebody. You'll be able to support yourself by doing this and having fun doing it. So.
Yeah, thank you. I feel very blessed and grateful every day. And I think I mentioned that in my first farm video when I moved out here, that I just feel so incredibly grateful for what I get to do. And that doesn't change ever, day to day.
And, it also, to me, it says you don't have to have the most fancy equipment, the most, professionally edited videos. And because there's a lot of people out there, that's what they think. Like I said, there's a lot of these YouTube genius gurus out there. You got to make sure your thumbnail, you're going, pointing at it, and you see, because you can see all the thumbnails, because there's somebody, the guy that all these people watch this one guy, because they're all pointing at something with the picture of it over here, and they're going, ooh,
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And that's but that's just never been me. But there's a little bit of everything for everybody out there. So, but
yeah, and it boils down to that content, and people can tell if you're interested in what you do. Like, I know that for a fact. They can tell if you're having fun what you're doing, if you love what you're doing. So if you get on there with just the intent of, oh, I want to make a ton of money and I want to be the biggest YouTuber, I genuinely don't think that you will find success, because people aren't going to be able to tap into like your essence, I would say,
right,
of who you are.
Well, and also there's people that they go on, they don't really know what they're talking about, but they try to make out like they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So like with you, watching you do the freeze dryer stuff, or even with your animals, you're not out there like, I'm a cow milking expert and I'm going to show you how to milk a cow. You're like, well, guys, I'm going to try to milk this cow, and you're going to watch me. You're going to watch me either mess up or do it right. And if I learn how to do it right, you'll probably learn something. So, and that's what attracted me, I think, to you, is that you weren't, hello, I'm, the freeze drying expert, and I'm going to show you how to, do everything the way you should be. And if you don't do it my way, you're an idiot. So
those videos will be later down the line, because I've freeze dried more. And so I'm like, oh yeah, I get this freeze drying thing. I know how to operate it, change the oil. So
that's right. So, but that's about it. I want to thank you for being on. And I really, like I said, I appreciate it. And I'm going to make sure that the links to your websites are in the description below, but also check out gubbatv.com. That'll bring you to everything she's doing. Everything on YouTube, the Homestead, the Twitch, the streaming, the books, music, all that. I really appreciate you being on, Gubba. If there's anything else you want to talk about, let me know.
yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for the invite. This was really fun. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you being on. I'll let you get back to your parents. Thanks for coming.
Thanks. See ya.
Well, thanks for joining us, guys. I want to thank Gubba once again for being on. Make sure you check out gubbatv.com for everything about Gubba. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, on our Facebook page. Follow us on Instagram. Make sure you check out the Fire and Water Cooking website. We have a new up and running Fire and Water Cooking store where we sell our own branded seasonings and rubs, and we have some other stuff coming up. Check it out, fireandwatercooking.com. I'll see you again on the next Fire and Water Cooking podcast.